Hello, and welcome to Dying Light. Now, this is my second time trying to record this because my first one screwed up horribly because of an audio issue. So, excuse me if my voice is getting a bit raspy by this point, but I recorded over 50 minutes and it screwed up, so my voice is a little stressed right now. But anyway, not important. Welcome to Dying Light. So, I want to jump in and tell you guys all about this because I am pleasantly surprised by it, and I'll explain it as I go. So, Welcome. We are in the Tower, a place filled with survivors in the fictional Middle Eastern city of Haran. Now, I like the fact, first of all, that we're in the Middle East. You don't see a lot of games set in the Middle East that aren't also about manly warmen. So, I like it. I like the concept. It's fairly neat. And, let's see. The first thing to talk about, probably, would be that it's a very beautiful looking game. So let's just talk about graphics for a second. It's very pretty. I have everything as far as it can go pretty much except for view distance, which is a strange anomaly. There are other videos on that. But it's a good looking game. Very good texture quality, really nice animation quality, good effects, fire, wet surfaces, especially at night, glows and things like that. All pretty nice looking. And there's quite a bit to do in this world, so let's just hop in literally, and here we go. Let's get out of the safe zone and out into the world. So here we are. Now, a lot of, I suppose, parallels are going to be drawn to Techland's previous first-person zombie effort, for good reason, Dead Island. Now, Dead Island is a game that is okay. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's alright. I liked it for what it was, you know, like I said, it's nothing spectacular, but it also wasn't like just a terrible game or something. And, this one is definitely better in a lot of ways, because I feel that they've learned from a lot of the shortcomings of their previous game, and they've also taken a couple of other things in, and this game, you might be saying, oh my god, are you serious, another zombie game? Is this really what we need? And I understand that, because I'm getting fairly tired of them as well. I've got to be honest, I didn't expect to like this game. I didn't expect much from it. It's not that I have anything against Techland, it's just I didn't see the merit in it, I guess. I didn't see a need for yet another zombie game. But, I've got to say this one has very much surprised me. It's done a lot right. A flag, really. And it's done enough to the point where I like a lot of the mechanics that it has. It seems like it's done a lot of things that other survival games have been trying to do, but this one's actually pulling them off, like, just very well. It's kind of cool seeing something like that, I guess. I like being surprised. So, I guess the first thing to talk about now that we're in the world is what I'm doing right now, scavenging. Now, of course, you would expect in a game like this you're going to need to scavenge items. And one thing I like is that weapons have a durability system. As you can see in the bottom right there, you see I have a weapon here that's a crafted scythe with a it looks more like a comma, actually, with a bleeding attachment that causes extra bleeding damage. It's somewhat effective against zombies, but also the bleeding is, of course, very good against human enemies. And, damn it, airdrop stolen. But I think what is to be noticed is that, of course, the portrait of the weapon is halfway, like, empty, 3/4 of the way empty, almost. Weapons have durability, but you see that little 0 down there with the symbol. The 25 is the amount of metal parts I have, which are used for, hey, sell mitosis, which are used for all kinds of crafting and things, but also for repairing weapons. And that 0 is the number of repairs this weapon has left. In other words, none. I can't repair it. There's nothing I can do to repair this weapon and make it work any longer. So once that durability runs out for the last time, that's it. Basically, I gotta drop the weapon. I can't do anything else with it. That, combined with the wealth of things you can craft, means that it avoids one of the very common pitfalls of survival games, and that eventually you will have so much stuff that you don't need to scavenge anymore. You have 50 grenades, you're armed to the teeth with firearms and ammunition for them, you've got hundreds of bullets, You've got so many weapons that are in, like, you don't have to worry about them breaking or anything. This game handily avoids that by having a lot of things to craft, by having a lot of weapons of many types with different characteristics to them that will break and cannot be infinitely repaired. Eventually you're going to run out of repairs, and that's that. You need to search for another weapon. So that's one of the things that I feel that this game has done a lot better than recent zombie survival games, making it to where the survival aspect, the main survival aspect of scavenging for things, to be very important. Oh god. Yep. And so now let's talk about combat. Combat is in the Dead Island style, kind of, which, I mean, that's to be expected, I suppose. It's Techland. But it's improved. Again, I feel like they've learned from Dead Island. It's more meaty feeling, meaning there's a lot of impact. Even with this weapon, which isn't a heavy weapon, it's just sharp, it's very satisfying, because there's a really good... Okay. There's really good sound effects, sound assets of slicing through flesh and things like that. The animation quality is good, it's weighty, and the zombie animation is good, which means it's pretty responsive to being hit. A lot of people have said that the blunt weapons are much more satisfying than the sharp weapons, that the sharp weapons aren't very satisfying. I would agree that blunt weapons may be a bit more satisfying sometimes, but the sharp weapons are still fun to use because... There's that. Because, yeah, they really do slice off limbs and heads and stuff with really nice sounds, and the power attack animations are good. But the blunt weapons are still also very satisfying. They have a nice heft to their hits, they are weighty feeling, and overall that serves to make combat not floaty or spammy, like you're just clicking as much as you can, which was one of the problems of Dead Island. And the stamina system is a bit better because you don't use stamina for kicking, and it's actually considered combat stamina, which means the stamina you use for running around is completely separate. And why that's important is because, move on to the third point, the parkour system. So, the parkour system is very Mirror's Edge-esque, by which I mean, first of all, a compliment, but you are jumping around and stuff, and you must look where you want to go. Now, how this differs from other parkour systems is that, say, in games like Assassin's Creed, which are third person, it's good to have a system instead where you kind of gravitate towards ledges. Ooh, a survivor to save. Oh, but it's full of human soldiers instead of just zombies. That might be a problem. It doesn't matter, the guy's dead. It's not actually a survivor, it seems like, so I guess there's no point in me really being here, unfortunately. I'll just leave these guys alone. Humans are more difficult than zombies oftentimes, but I'll get into some other stuff about the enemies later. So the parkour system is Mirror's Edge-esque, because in a third-person game, gravitating towards ledges, being able to move across is very different feeling from how it should be done, in my opinion, in first person, which is you need to look where you're going. Slowing down is kind of discouraged. It's fun, as you saw earlier, to just kind of try and string a long line of jumps, ledge grabs, and vaults together. It's also very satisfying. It rewards skill quite heavily, because the zombies can climb, actually. Some better than others, but most of them aren't very good at it. And one of the best ways to escape them is to get vertical and go fast and move away from them. So climbing, ledge grabs, vaults, that's all quite satisfying and supported. I think the only way the parkour system could be better is, besides some verticality issues, which is something I'll explain later when I get to some of the problems I have with the game, wall running would be nice. There is no wall running. You can do this, however. You can jump into trash and stuff, cars and onto zombies, and survive very high falls. So next, I think we'll focus on the zombies themselves. So, that never gets old. Drop kicking things is awesome. The best skill in the game, by the way. Oh, I'm dead. Totally dead. Oh, I'm not? Alright, I expected that to explode while I was next to it and kill me. Anyway, the zombies, first of all, thank God this game actually calls them zombies. I'm tired of games not wanting to use the Z word. Like, I understand that there are cool things to call them and stuff like that, but they're zombies, seriously. Just call them zombies sometimes. The game handily does. Infected, of course, is still used, which makes sense, but zombies, they're totally okay with saying, yeah, that's what they are. But there are various types. That one you saw there was what's called a viral. It's very fast. They're recently infected people. They're attracted to loud sounds, which is why that one came to me, because I created an explosion by hitting that propane tank over there. They are more aggressive. They're much faster. They can climb better, and they're a bit smarter. And there's some more after me as well. So they are definitely different than your run-of-the-mill zombie. As you can see, they are capable of hitting you multiple times very quickly. They remind me of Hollows from Demon's Souls and Dark Souls. Well, I guess mostly Dark Souls. Because they have that kind of rush and hit you multiple times very quickly attack that can actually be surprisingly effective against you. So watch out for that. No, bad zombie. There are also many other kinds, so let's talk about those. You saw that one in the hazmat suit earlier. Those are a bit different. They can afflict you with what's basically a status effect, almost like a toxic effect, basically, because they're kind of like steaming with toxins, being in hazmat suits and all, and it reduces your health over time, like a poison, basically. There are the virals. There are zombies that are afflicted with various status effects themselves. There are zombies that are more or less, kind of steaming with that hazmat suit effect, and they have kind of green skin. Those can inflict you with that poison effect. There are zombies that are permanently on fire, for instance. Those are a problem. Oh, I need to repair this. Like that one, there's one of the toxic ones. There are quick and slow ones. There are also, let's see, the guys in hazmat suits have explosive tanks on their backs, which you can kind of strafe behind them and hit to make them explode and die, which is fun, but also attracts virals. There are actually suicide bomber type zombies that will run up to you and explode themselves. There are, let's see here, the big goon guys, which are, they're huge. Is that one of them? Yeah, that's one of them. They're wearing those jumpsuits and they have those huge rebar clubs, and you have to avoid them like that. They're pretty strong. Uh-oh, and there's another special type, a toad. A toad looks like that, and it spits poison globs at you that either act like grenades and explode, or that are more like smaller projectiles that afflict you with a poison effect. There are also volatiles, which we'll get to later because they're very important, and a few others. So a nice variety of zombie types, which is important in a zombie game in my opinion. Just saying, yep, they're zombies, look at them, is not really good enough anymore because it's been done so much. Having multiple types of the undead assailing you is important. Now, one of the things that I was talking about earlier is how this game seems to surprisingly do certain things right that aren't done as well oftentimes. And another of those is the idea that being swarmed by zombies is a problem. Say in Dead Rising, you're basically a god of death, and zombie swarms are seen as fun things to destroy and not threats. The threat of a traditional zombie apocalypse is that there are slow shambling masses that will eventually overwhelm you and kill you. A single one is not a problem, but 15 of them swamping you is. A lot of zombie games avoid that by just not making mobs a threat, really. In this case, they are, because first of all, your main weapons are one-handed weapons that don't have wide attack arcs, so attacking more than one of them can really drain your stamina away, as you can see here. And also, your animations don't just go through them, you actually have a sort of impact where you bounce back when you hit one of them, which means hitting multiple of them is definitely possible, especially with bladed weapons, and it's very satisfying when it happens, but it doesn't happen constantly. You're not cutting your way through swaths of them easily. In this case, I'm doing alright because I have a fairly strong weapon that is doing a good job for me. But the important part, what you just saw there, was me getting grabbed. Now, in a lot of games, when you get grabbed and the QTE is going on, you're invincible. In this game, the main point that makes mobs a threat is that you are not. If you're in the middle of a group of 10 of them and get grabbed by one, the other 9 are going to be wailing on you the whole time you're trying to escape, which means that you can very quickly take a large amount of damage, and that is what makes mobs threatening in this game. I like that. That's good. That's different, and I approve. Also, mixing in other zombie types like toads and the big goon guys it's a good way to make mobs more difficult to fight. So there's an airdrop over here. These will periodically appear. Also, there's a repair system that I mentioned earlier with the weapons that is actually visually represented, which I like. So if I repair this thing... Okay. It looks better now. So I like that. Now, these guys have gotten to the airdrop faster than me, which means they are going to take half of what was there already, so I'm not going to get both airdrop things, and they're going to fight me for the rest of it. But I'm going to try and take it. Airdrops are fairly important. They will appear at all times, and just kind of randomly. In fact, you can actually see what looks like a C-130 fly over and drop them, and you can find them by this red signal smoke. The ones at night are oftentimes less guarded by these guys because other people don't like to come out at night, so that's your time to go get them. But night is a whole nother beast that I want to explain later. So the airdrop system links into the survivor system of the game, which involves all these safe zones, as you saw over here. You can take those and they will be inactive. You go into them and clear all of the zombies and or humans out and turn on the power, and then kabam kaboom, there you go. It's yours. So I like it. Drop kicking is awesome. And I think that the mechanics of the game are a lot more solid than I was expecting. Again, it's not an insult to Techland. I don't think they make bad games. I just didn't really feel that this game was going to be all that special, but it's proven to me that there are things you can do better in this industry still. And I like that. Ooh. In this industry towards zombie games, it is still as cliched as it's become an imperfect art that can be improved on. So here we go. I got to this thing, so let's open up the other airdrop crate and see what we've got. There should be a drop in here, a disaster relief on-site package, a drop, which I can turn into a quartermaster at a safe zone to get some survivor points. And there's some medical supplies, which will give me a bunch of extra medkits, which is awesome. There can also be things like flares in there, which are useful at night. And if you are able to get to those airdrops before other people, you will actually have both of the crates to open up, and you get twice the rewards that way. So that's nice. The airdrop system is very cool. Now, another thing to talk about is the skill system. As you can see up there to the top, I have 2 skill bars on level 10 and level 11, respectively. As you can see, I'm getting skill points right now by climbing and stuff. The left one is agility, and the right one is power. That's basically movement and combat, of course. Also, there are traps around the place you can activate. Yeah, you get experience points by doing things. So anything related to movement, vaulting, jumping, climbing, gives me points in agility, and anything related to combat, hitting things, killing things, blowing things up, gives me points in power. And also, the skill trees are pretty large, actually, for both. Actually, for all 3, there's a 3rd skill tree as well, the survivor one, which I'll explain as well when I open up the menu. And it's one of the only skill trees I've ever seen where I don't feel like any of the skills I've seen so far have been useless or boring. I like it. There are proc-based effects, there are crafting materials and recipes, there are new attacks. It's awesome. The dropkick never gets old. It's amazing, and oh god, it's probably the only skill you'll ever need because it's just that cool. But yeah. So let's open that up right now. The survivor experience is what you get for completing quests, saving survivors, and surviving the night, things like that. And it looks like this. It's basically like your character level. You have everything from more inventory spots to new crafting recipes to discounts at shops, the ability to use a shield, things like that, all the way down to some pretty cool stuff like the grappling hook, which I want very badly, please. Agility, movement-based skills, things like being able to grapple, being able to dodge, more health regen, being able to sprint for a longer period of time and climb faster, tackling dudes, drop kicking, which is amazing, vaulting over zombies. Also, using any of the skills in these gives you experience for that particular tree as well. Power. Let's see, I've got a point to spend, so Things like being able to lock onto multiple enemies with throwing weapons at one time, which is awesome. Being able to stomp people, power attacks for one-handed weapons, 360 windmill attacks for two-handed weapons, more health, things like that. Very cool. So what do we got? Gain power points faster for 10 seconds after killing an enemy. The more kills, the bigger the boost. A ground pound with a two-handed weapon. A stomp as a finishing move. The whirlwind. Melee throw blast. Doubles damage dealt by throwing weapons. I actually want that because I'm starting to use them more. And I'm seeing how useful they can be. So let's do that. And let's look at the crafting system. So here we go. Crafting. Yay. Yeah, the crafting system's actually alright. It's, again, you're not going to be making God of Death style things like Dead Rising, but there's enough fun stuff. You can make utilities like shields, boosters, firecrackers for distraction, medkits, lockpicks, throwing weapons of many kinds. I don't have, there are all kinds of recipes you can get from just finding them. The orange rarity recipes are one of a kind, very hard to find. I don't have any of those right now. Sad face. This one I got from doing a quest, and a lot of these can also be bought and gotten in the skill tree. So I'm going to make some exploding throwing stars because of course I am. And this goes on to the whole survival thing, making it to where there's all kinds of components you can find, and actually scavenging for them is almost always important because they're useful. So let's make a welder. Let's see, I can use the cleaver and make it a fiery cleaver. There we go. So that's the crafting system. Basic, but not overly obtuse, and also satisfying to make some cool stuff with. Also, the orange quality blueprints are awesome. So the game works in a system that goes on rarity in terms of weapons. So white, green, blue, purple, orange, as you would expect. And that's how that works. Also, there are weapon upgrades. You can upgrade weapons with these. These affect things like the durability, the swing speed, and the damage of weapons. But remember, of course, a weapon is never permanent. You can only use it until it runs out of repairs. So remember that. If I upgrade this, I can put one in it. Duelist, Enforcer, or Juggernaut. Let's do Juggernaut. Make it last a bit longer. There we go. And we'll do that. And there you go. That's how the upgrade system in general works. Very simple, but again, satisfying because the combat is satisfying. So creating some extra neat weapons is always nice. Another thing to talk about would be the questing system. I'm not doing any main story quests for this mission because I don't want to spoil anything. Of course, being a single-player experience with co-op, that's apparently quite good, but I haven't played it yet. It is very story-driven, so I don't want to spoil anything. But the story so far is fairly interesting. It is filled with characters that I actually do care about. I like Jade, I like Brecken, Rise is interesting. I'm not sure about the main character yet. He's done some things that I've really disliked, but he's also starting to redeem himself. He's said some really stupid things, but he's also, I don't know, as the story goes on, I'm finding him more, I guess, interesting. So we'll see how that goes. Oh god. Another thing I like is that due to the animation quality of the game and the way that it's actually quite physical, the way that the combat system works, you can actually get interrupted and do the interrupting on many of the enemies, and both of you can actually take damage. It doesn't just, I don't know, the animations are really good. It doesn't just stop and let you either hit the enemy or get hit by the enemy. Oftentimes both can happen. So if I, for instance, wait till he's just about to strike me and then swing, a little too quick. Hang on, I just want to demonstrate it. Like that, we both took damage because his arm hit me as he flew to the side. That's kind of cool. It doesn't feel like it's cheaply locking you into grapples constantly. It feels like you can avoid them just by swinging, but you're going to run out of stamina and things like that. I like it. Animation quality is very good, so it's satisfying, and it makes the combat fun. Definitely makes the combat fun. That was bad. So, let's see. Nighttime is approaching, so that's gonna be a thing. Now, the side quests of the game are... They range from kind of basic fetch questy stuff to... actually somewhat interesting activities. Now, I'm actually alright with a lot of the fetch questy feeling ones because I personally find the world and the combat to be fun and interesting, so that it makes it to where it doesn't feel like an annoying kind of contrivance or grind to actually do these quests. That's not going to be the case for everybody, though. So that's something to consider. The side quests do definitely range from really fun, interesting characters and interesting places to just go get this thing for me and come back with it. So yeah, it is definitely all over the place in terms of the side quest quality, but there are so many of them that I think you're gonna find something to your liking. But yeah, I think there are like over 100 of them, which is just ridiculous. There's so many. So yeah, there's definitely something here for most people because there's just a lot. Oh my god. Jackpot. There's a lot of them. All kinds of weapons, duct tape, you can never have too much of that. I also find it interesting that it's set in a Middle Eastern country. A lot of games set in the Middle East are modern military shooters. Yeah, it's just, you are a shooter man with the gun. That's it. But, not so much in this case. Actually, it's a bit different, and I like that. Let's see, a cricket bat, which I really want to take out of principle, but I'm not going to right now. A nice collection of DVDs. Maybe there's something good there. Who knows? What's this? A note. So this was an example of a side quest that was fairly interesting. I had to find a pistol for a guy, and he gave me the keys to his pawn shop, which has a lot of good stuff in it, and I had to get that action figure for him to give to his son. So, yeah. An alright side quest. Again, they run the gamut, definitely. So, let's see, I've explained the combat and how it's actually pretty damn good. I've explained the searching and how it's fun. I've explained the enemy types, except for the volatiles, so I guess we'll get onto that right now. More or less, things change at night. Things change majorly. Why is that? Because there's a special enemy type called a volatile. They, during the daytime, are not a threat to you whatsoever. They are scared of you, they run from light. They are glowing green with a lot of these weird, like, pustules on them. But at night, that's when shit gets real. They awaken. They basically become necromorphs from Dead Space at night. They transform, their jaws unhinge, their ribs poke out. They become a force of nature. They are very fast, very strong, and actually capable of a significant amount of damage. They are faster than you. If you're running in a straight line, they will catch up to you. They can also do some ranged attacks and some other nasty stuff. So, at night, things get real, and that's why nighttime is so much different than the daytime. Also, there's a system that I like a lot, in that there's a very heavily risk-reward based gameplay style at night, by which I mean things get much more difficult, but you're rewarded more. And risk-reward is something that I love in survival games. It's something that I love in every game, but it's something that I personally feel that a lot of survival games don't do as well as they should. This one pulls it off. At night, as you're about to see, night starts at 1 a.m. and ends at 6 a.m. Your points are doubled. Agility and power points you get are doubled, which means if you are actually willing to stay out at night and continue fighting, you are rewarded doubly for your efforts. So that's something. Also, there's some volatiles around here. Good. I should drop this. It's pretty much worthless now. And let's switch to my cleaver. Uh-oh, I've been spotted. So I've been spotted by a volatile. That's what they look like. They're not nice. I've been able to beat like 2 of them in melee combat, and not at once either, just individually. They're really strong, and I won away from them. So you can hide from them by basically by being careful, and also the UV light freaks them the heck out. So you can hide from them if you get far enough away and kind of do a Metal Gear Solid style, avoid their cones of vision, avoid the patrols, and attempt to stay out of their view for long enough. So I'm gonna kind of stun them with that for a second, and then GTFO. This is where verticality gets very important, because although they can climb and they're very fast, they're not necessarily excellent at following you as fast as you can go. When you're moving all around trying to make confusing patterns, making it more difficult for them to follow you. I want to keep this off, but I'm not sure if it is hurting me more than it's helping me to keep it off. I'm in a really bad spot right now. Yeah, I'm dead. I'm screwed. That's that. That's why nighttime is dangerous. I would assume that once you get a lot of very powerful weapons, nighttime becomes less dangerous, but honestly, because of the number of things you can carry at a time, and because of the fact that ammunition is very scarce, I'm not sure if nighttime will ever become non-threatening. But anyway, another thing to talk about, I guess, is the firearms. Guns in this game are rare. I've been able to pretty much fill my inventory once with about 6 guns, but that was only because I hate this place. I went to a safe zone to clear out that basically consisted exclusively of people with guns. That was the only place I've really found them so far. I found them for sale, but they've been extremely prohibitively expensive. Something to consider. Also, ammunition for them is rare enough to be a very limiting factor, just as much as actually finding the weapons themselves. So that's something to consider. You can sleep in any safe zone to pass the night, or you can sleep during the day to pass the day if you want to. And it's totally a reasonable thing to just try and survive the night and get a bunch of extra points, as well as... Oh my god, I found a pistol. Sweet. Interesting. It's funny that I was talking about that, and I've just found one. That's the first pistol I've ever found. Anyway, it's... Once you survive the night, you're rewarded with a bunch of extra points for doing so, depending on how well you did. So that's also... Uh-oh! Balls! Balls! Ah! No! Get off! Okay, run. Run, run, run. Run, run. Run, run, run. Okay, so we didn't get spotted that time. Also, evading a pursuit once you have been spotted nets you extra points as well. That was actually dumb. That creates sound. That was stupid of me. Anyway, so this is nighttime. Things get kind of serious. I like the fact that guns are so very rare, but actually very effective. I also like the fact that there's a double rarity in terms of not only are weapons rare, but so is the ammunition for them. Okay. Yeah.
Oh no.
That is a result of my actions. Interesting. So the side quest is developing. Again, some of the side quests are definitely pretty damn good. I've also got to say that the world itself is interesting. It doesn't feel like this huge open world filled with collectibles just for the hell of it. There aren't that many collectibles. There are those flags and statues, but they're kind of rare. The world isn't massively open and just empty. It's filled with places to explore and search, and you have a lot of reasons to, because again, scavenging is almost always important. I've never felt in a spot so comfortable where I just don't need to scavenge anymore, because eventually you'll run out of materials and you'll need to go find some more. And also, with the ability to find guns and to find extremely rare weapons and orange blueprints that help survivors, that makes exploration a big deal, and I approve of that greatly. So, that's a huge deal. I think that they've done a very good job with this game. I didn't expect to like it as much as I do. Like, to be 100% honest, I didn't. I didn't expect to enjoy it like I have been. I didn't expect to see characters I actually care about. Again, I'm not sure about the main character yet, but still, a lot of the other characters I actually am interested in. I didn't expect to see a lot of these things that are so commonly associated with survival games trying to do but not pulling off very well, actually done well by this game. There's just a lot of things that I didn't expect out of this game that is delivering to me, and I've got to say I love being surprised. I definitely like it. There's an airdrop up there that I want. Go, go, go. Go, go, go. I am pleasantly surprised by how much I'm enjoying this game, and by all of its mechanics coming together well enough to actually form a nice, coherent experience that is plenty good enough compared to a lot of other zombie titles, especially open world ones, which have had a track record of being fairly bland and unfinished feeling and just not fun for very long. So yeah, this is what I'm thinking, at least, of Dying Light. It's fun, and I didn't expect it to be as good as it is. It's done a lot of things right. It's done a lot of things that I didn't expect it to do. I want to talk about the problems that I have with it really quick. Some packages I can drop off to quartermasters for points, and some medical supplies for me. Yes! One of the biggest problems with the game is with the parkour system, which is normally very good, but it has a specific problem. Early on in the game, you're tasked with climbing these two radio antennas, like you're playing a Ubisoft game. Har har. And not only is it not very fun, it's downright frustrating. The radio towers are not fun to climb, and the main reason why is that they're relying on pure verticality. And in my opinion, the parkour system of this game excels with a lot of horizontal movement, as you've been seeing a lot of fun lines, leaps, and things like that, with little bits of verticality. As in, at some moments you are actually gaining height, but you're not exclusively moving in an attempt to constantly gain height. You're not moving vertically all the time. And as it turns out, the parkour system, as good as it is, has a bit of a problem when it comes to just trying to gain as much height as quickly as possible. That's because with a lot of parkour systems in games, they've been third person. Assassin's Creed is, of course, the prime example. Moving straight up in Assassin's Creed is as simple as holding up, because you gravitate towards ledges, and you for the most part are capable of actually moving straight up very quickly in a streamlined way. With a first-person parkour system like this, it's very satisfying to pull off moves and things like that, and moving up isn't too bad, but moving straight up over and over again is not as fun. Like this, real easy. Just 2 ledge climbs and that's it. But when it comes to these antenna towers, you're expected to do a bunch of ledge grabs, like, say, grabbing onto this and looking backwards and jumping behind you. That kind of thing. You're expected to do a lot of that in a very small, confined space, which makes it feel really, really finicky and not all that fun. Luckily, that was the only mission to which I've had to do any climbing like that. Most of the parkour missions have been fine. They've been, you know, playing to the strengths of the system. But that mission in particular definitely displays its weakness, and hopefully there are no more missions like that, or at least no more towers like that that are that tall with that much climbing to do straight up, because it's not particularly fun, I've got to say. So that's a problem, but like I said, it's not a huge problem because that's only been one mission so far, and hopefully that's all there is of that kind of thing. Another problem is in the performance. The game again, looks extremely pretty and tends to run very well for the most part. But there are two main bugbears with performance. Shit! One, SLI not supported as well as it should be. If you're using multiple graphics cards, you may want to look up some videos about your configuration. I can't provide any insight on that because I don't use an SLI system, I use one graphics card. But all reports are saying that unfortunately it's not utilizing two cards as efficiently as it could be, which is making performance less than it should be for an SLI system. Nice, survived, yay. So that's something to consider. Secondly, that's a lot of points. Awesome. Secondly, the micro stutter is an issue even for me. The game is performing very well for the most part. I'm getting consistently over 60 FPS almost all the time. But when I am grappled by zombies, and when anything is affecting your screen, like say getting set on fire, or getting hit by those poison attacks, especially the toad, the toad zombies, it tends to drop my frame rate down to like 20 for a second or two and then go back to normal again. I don't know why that is, but it's really annoying, and it makes fighting off large groups where you're getting grappled repeatedly really annoying because you're constantly dropping frame rate every time you get grappled. That needs to be fixed. I don't know what the issue is, but it's annoying as hell. The only stuttering I'm having is when I'm getting grappled or my screen is getting affected by poison and fire effects and things like that. Other than that, I haven't had any issues with the performance, but again, those are two things that need to be considered, so. Oh, that seems kind of cool. That seems useful as well. Definitely that. Things are expensive as hell. Okay. So, I think that's most of what I wanted to say about this game. I think that's Dying Light kind of stated as best as I can. If you wish to buy this game, you can get it on Steam, on Green Man Gaming, probably on Gamersgate maybe as well, for $60 US doll hairs. However, unfortunately, that's also translated to 60 euros because Steam thinks dollars and euros are the same thing for most Eurozone countries. I am very sorry for that. It's worth the cost if this looks fun to you because it's a pretty long game. I've played over a dozen hours and I'm not even a quarter of the way through the story yet. And the world is fun to explore with a lot of things to do. So it's very subjective whether or not games are worth their cost, but in my subjective opinion, this one has been. I'm definitely getting my money's worth out of it. So yeah, that's that, I suppose. If you want to see anything more, if you have any questions, feel free to comment below. If you liked the video, feel free to subscribe. If you want to jump off a roof in a hazmat suit, please don't, unless you're carrying a lot of money and land in front of me. So that's been Dying Light, folks. I like it. It's really surprised me. I didn't expect it to be as enjoyable as it is for me, and being surprised is good. It's very good. So there we go, folks. Thanks for watching. And again, any comments, please feel free to put them down there, and I will read them. I always do. This has been Dying Light. Thank you for watching. I'm going to open up this crate now. What's in here? Water, probably? Drowning? Ooh, delicious. Yeah. Awesome. It's a game that I feel is actually one of the best games I've played this year so far, even though it's only February, and definitely the best zombie game of the year so far. Yeah, I know. I'll see you guys next time. Enjoy the game.